Hey, what's up guys? This is Guy here. I'm going to talk about the Apple event that just happened a couple hours ago. It's still March 8th, 2022, my time. And at 10 o'clock California time, Apple hold the event. This is the spring event where they announced a couple good products, including the new kid in the block, the M1 Ultra. We're going to talk about it. And the only Apple computer now that has the M1 Ultra is the Mac Studio. Close to the Mac Mini, double the size of Mac Mini in terms of height. It's a beautiful computer, and if what they promised is true, that thing is mind-blowing. It's just crazy. We're going to talk about it here. So the event started. It was a beautiful event, well recorded with all the animation and everything. And Tim Cook started by talking about Apple TV, trying to push the content from Apple TV. I know the streaming service market is really competitive right now with companies like Netflix, Prime Studio, Disney Plus, Hulu, and so on. Apple is trying to find its place, but they're doing pretty good. They actually got me, and I finally signed up a couple months ago for Apple TV Plus. It was mostly for C. C was the show that brought me on Apple TV Plus. It's a beautiful show. I like the image, the color, the VFX, and everything about that show. Tim Cook talked about some new movies and new TV shows and things like that. They also talk about one of the Major League Baseball. I'm not into baseball, guys, so I don't know exactly what that meant, but apparently you can watch now baseball on Apple TV Plus, and you should be happy. In other news, we have the new iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro in this green color here. I don't know who needed that because usually we use cases on them. So yeah, this is something for maybe you. We also have the the iPhone SE, which is this special edition of iPhone. This one comes with some good packaging. It has the A15 Bionic chip on it, which is the same chip that is on Apple 13 and Apple 13 Pro. So it became very powerful. It now does 5G with a long battery life. I hope that's true because we know that 5G draws a lot of battery. It starts for $429 in the US, and yeah, it sounds like a good deal with A15 Bionic. I think it's kind of worth it. Camera on it apparently it's very good as well. So after the Apple SE, the other product was the iPad Air that was also announced. It comes with the M1 chip on it, which is great, and you have 5 different colors to choose from. It comes with 12 megapixel ultra wide front camera with center stage, and with the M1 chip it sounds like a good deal. So if you are into iPad, the new iPad Air might interest you. So let's go to the big stuff here. The new kid in the block is the M1 Ultra. The M1 Ultra, which is like the big brother to the M1 Max, is promising double what the M1 Max can do, which is already great. And the only computer now you can buy with the M1 Ultra is the Mac Studio. We're going to talk about the Mac Studio here. It's this beautiful little thing which is double the height of the Mac Mini. So in the front you have 2 USB-C if you have the M1 Max, or Thunderbolt 4 if you have the M1 Ultra. You also have an SD card reader, and when you go to the back you have these holes here for ventilation, so the air comes through down here and exits by these holes. And you also have 4 Thunderbolt 4 in the back, and the big news, 1 10 gig Ethernet port. Of course you have the alimentation, and 4 USB-A, 1 HDMI, and 1 audio jack. So for the chip inside your Mac Studio, you have 2 choices. You can start with the M1 Max, the only M1 Max that we know from last time. With 10 core CPU, it can go up to 64 gigabyte of unified memory and 400 gigabyte per second of memory bandwidth, which is great. I have a video actually that I haven't released yet, but I was actually comparing my MacBook Pro with 16 gig to the MacBook Pro with 64 gig. In average, the memory bandwidth for an Intel chip can go as low as 20 gigabyte and as high as 90. And this is for laptops. I'm not talking about the Xeon or all those big ones for servers in a data center. For laptops, it can go up to 90. But last time Apple dropped 400 gigabyte, which is already mind-blowing. But today they dropped 800. This is a lot. This is quick. This is very good for professionals that are dealing with heavy stuff. So you have the M1 Max or the M1 Ultra. So the M1 Ultra is basically a fusion of 2 M1 Max. So you have double the performance, double the power, but you still consume less energy, just like the M1 Max and all the M1 series with Apple Silicon. So with the M1 Max, you can have 20 core CPU. You have up to 60 core GPU and up to 128 gigabyte of unified memory. And again, the memory bandwidth is 800 gigabyte per second, which is great. Let's try to order the Mac Studio. We can see that the M1 Max start at $19.99 and the M1 Ultra start at $39.99. And if we go in the different options that we have two options for the M1 Max. We can take the one with 24 core GPU and 16 core neural engine, or we can go with 32 core GPU. This is for the M1 Max, and the memory start at 32 gigabyte for the basic M1 Max. And when you go with the M1 Ultra with 20 core CPU, 48 core GPU and 32 core neural engine, the memory start at 64 gigabyte, and you have the option to upgrade it to 128 gigabyte. If I select this one here, let's see what the total will be. With an 8 terabyte storage, we have almost $8,000, which to me is a good value because I actually have an order. This is my current order that I have for the 64 gigabyte M1 Max. It's supposed to arrive by, between March 25th and April 7th. I was actually waiting for the event to happen to see if there's anything that is of interest for me. I was thinking of canceling this order and grab the Mac Studio, but the only thing I don't like about the Mac Studio is that it's just like a desktop, so you can't move with it, you can't go around doing your work. So that's why the M1, the MacBook Pro still has its place, even though the Mac Studio seems to be the better value for the money. Yeah, that's it for the Mac Studio, and you can use the Mac Studio with the new display. They have a new display called the Studio Display. It's a beautiful display, and the value is also good. When you compare it to the Pro Display XDR, this one gives you more value for the money. It starts at $15.99, and you have a choice between the standard glass or the nano texture glass. This one is $300 more. You also have to pick your stand, and depending on the stand that you pick, the total can go all the way to $2,300. So this, as I said, is good compared to the Pro Display. I actually had one in the bag because I was thinking of getting it, but then at the last minute I'm like, yeah, let me just wait for some reviews online and I'll see if it's really worth it, because I already have two 4K monitors. I don't really need this one, but if I see some good feedback on it, I may go and buy it. Yep, that's all for the event today. The big news, the M1 Ultra is in the house, and that's a powerful CPU for a lot of professionals. So yeah, if you have any question or any comments on these products, you can leave them in the comment section, and follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye.